Okay. So today we're going to be talking about low voter turnout in the United States. All right. Now, exactly how bad is this problem? Voter turnout in presidential elections, which is the highest point of voter turnout in the country, has hovered at around only 60% since 1912, approximately, until only recently in 2020, where it reached about 70%. And Pew Research Center did a study where they surveyed 35 different countries, democratic countries. And on that list, the US ranked 31st out of 35 in terms of voter turnout, which is very low. Now, why is this a problem? Many voters might feel as though they're not being properly represented in government, especially if their demographic isn't really voting, because then politicians don't really have much incentive to act in their benefit. It increases party polarization because the people who are, most frequently vote are people who are the most polarized. And so politicians are more incentivized to appease the more like polarized voters. And so the parties become less willing to cooperate, less compromises are made, and so less gets done in Congress. What are the causes of this? The Electoral College, in its winner take all system, allows representatives to basically overwrite individual votes in each state. So people in less contested states, if they're voting against what their state typically votes, they might feel like there's no point because the representatives of their state are just going to vote, uh, aren't going to vote with them. And the Electoral College also incentivizes politicians to only campaign in really contested states in order to ensure that they get the most electoral votes possible, not necessarily the most individual votes. So people outside of these contested states are more likely to be uninformed and thus not vote. And there are several states, especially recently, that have been making it even hard, that have been putting extra restrictions on registering to vote, such as introducing stricter laws for like ID and stuff like that. And so it just makes it harder for people to get registered. And if they're not registered, then they obviously can't vote. How can this be fixed? Well, abolishing the Electoral College would mean that each individual vote gets counted and nothing gets overruled, like overturned, basically. So people would be more likely to feel as if their vote actually matters since every individual vote's getting counted. It would also encourage candidates to seek out votes wherever they can, even in states that typically only vote one way. So more people are likely to be more informed and thus vote. And also, introducing automatic voter registration would remove a large barrier of entry for voters, ensuring that no one, is barred from voting because they just didn't register, which, every year millions of Americans are barred from voting because they just never registered. And so that would allow a lot more people to vote. And so that's why voter turnout's not great in the US, and that's how we can fix it. In the description of this video, there's going to be a petition. So if you're interested in fixing this issue, you can go down there and sign that.